Hello, today is March 28th, 2021. My name is Eliza DeVries, and I am a medium and a spiritual astrologer. I also teach healing, energetic healing, vibrational medicine of all sorts. I'm a medical intuitive, and I also work with people, animals. I've done a lot of hospice work. So I've spent, and I've also had a lot of people leave my life early, 2 children and 3 different mates very suddenly. So out of all of that, what evolved was I became deeply immersed in wanting to know what happened after death and in staying open, even in my grief, to what was going on the other side. And also through the hospice work, helping people to cross, feeling the journey and the experience of the soul actually leaving the body at the moment of death. I do also what I call the chart of the time of death, because often that is showing us the rebirth into spirit and what the soul is about to do at that time onward, that next segment of their existence, because we do not die, we just change form, like walking from one room to another. So what is their path now? What are they up to now? What's going on with them? So I've done probably about 9,000 readings all over the world on these topics, and I thought it would be fun now. We've all gone through such a deeply introspective, isolated year that we discuss what happens after we die, when we're preparing for death, what is suicide, how do we find our life mission while we're here, etc., etc. Now, obviously, we're not going to do all of that today because I want to keep these videos relatively short and to the point on specific topics. How do I start a mediumship reading? I light a candle and I ask that the experience, that the love, that the messages come from the very highest realms, that they come from the deepest truth, that they come from the highest vibration. And by lighting a candle and calling in divine protection and divine light, then I do not get any of what I would call the mischief spirits or the lower realm spirits that want to play tricks with us and are kind of stuck where they are until they reflect and are willing to make changes in their own existence to move to another level of vibration. So I got some questions that people sent to me, and I'm obviously going to deal with just a few of them. The first thing I wanted to talk about is that as we die, we have as many different ways of dying and experiencing death as we do ways of living. And even animals have different ways of dying. Even trees have different ways of dying. Flowers have different ways of dying. Everything is in its own cycle of birth, rebirth, and death over and over again. So someone asked me, do we come in the same in every life, or do we come in? Well, we set out with, before we come in, and the highly evolved souls spend a great deal of time in deep reflection and sitting with their soul group to decide that they all would incarnate together and that they would all have soul intention before they come in as to how they wish to express in that lifetime. Doesn't mean we always remember that or we don't get here, and circumstance impacts us so deeply that we may get that the train goes off the track for a while and we forget our soul intention. But basically, the more we move into our own personal awareness and inner self-reflection, the more we become incredibly attuned to our soul intentions. And our soul intentions are not always grandiose. Sometimes they are often with the highest souls of the humblest intention, and usually deeply related to the gifts that we have developed and accumulated through other lives, bringing those gifts in and expressing them to the service of humanity, with the understanding that we are all linked as one. And so by bringing in our gifts, we contribute part of the whole contribution and experience of humanity at one moment in time. And we'll talk about time in another video, but in this video, I'm talking about the earth time, where we're living in a linear reality, where we perceive it to be a birth to a death, to a rebirth, within a time frame. So, people want to ask me how their animals are and if they meet their animals on the path. So I want to just start first with the animals, because the animals come in and they truly experience death in a completely different way than we do. They experience it as a part of life. They do not have a fear of death. They do not focus on death. For example, I gave a reading to a lady yesterday. She had taken her dog to the vet because it had a tumor on its spleen and they wanted to remove the tumor. When the vet opened that dog up, the dog was riddled with cancer from head to toe. And what she called me for a reading, because literally the dog was put to sleep on the table of the vet without waking up from when it was opened up for the operation, because the vet said it would have just come back and suffered immensely. And the owner was called and she said, no, please put the dog to sleep now. Now, I had pictures of that dog 2 days before it died, playing with its favorite toy in a field, even though it had gnarled bones on its leg and had this cancer moving throughout its entire body. I did make contact with the dog, and the dog gave me so many exquisite messages that were completely specific unto his relationship with this wonderful owner. So she was greatly relieved, and the dog said, she said, well, why didn't you want to come out of the car when I pulled you the last time? Because during COVID, when we take our dog to the vet, we're not allowed to go in and be with our dog when it dies. And the dog said, I didn't want to leave you. I wanted to serve you a little bit longer. I knew I wasn't going to be around very long, and I wanted to serve you that extra bit of timing. This is how dogs think and feel, and how pure is their soul. And it was so beautiful the way that dog expressed it. The dog also showed her favorite outings with her mistress, what she loved to do the most. And her favorite thing yesterday morning, when this lady called me, all morning I was seeing a yellow lab in a pond in the mud, splashing and diving and getting absolutely filthy. And I said to her, I have to tell you, your dog came to me this morning. Did you go on a walk to a pond with little sort of patches of mud holes around the edge of the pond? And she said, yes, I took the dog's mother with me to my dog's favorite place. The dog's name was Gracie. And that's where we were this morning. And I said, well, Gracie was there cavorting in the mud and having an absolute blast with you. And she was so happy about that. The other thing the dog told me is, please understand, I'm still with you. I'm still part of the family. Leave my bowl out for me, because I'm still there. I want to be acknowledged as being at the table with my mommy dog, whom you still have. And also, please, I slept on the bed with my head on your shoulder. Leave my toys on the bed beside you. And she started crying, but it was tears of joy. She said every night that dog, even at the very end, she had all that cancer, was climbing on the bed, happily wagging her tail and sleeping with her head on the shoulder of her beloved mistress. And her favorite toys were on the bed with her. So she now is leaving on the bed the doggy toys, so that then the dog gets onto the bed. She can get to her toys and still sleep with her mistress. And I told your mistress, as you let go of the grief, you're going to feel her right there with you on the bed. You're going to feel her vibration. And she's going to nuzzle up right against your neck as she used to before. But the other beautiful, beautiful gift of that reading was, she said to her mistress, I'm coming back in 2 months, because dogs will, cats, dogs, birds, any kind of creature that you've had will reincarnate right away if you wish them to. They have no problem with dying and rebirth. They have no problem. They do not focus. The reason we don't know they're suffering, they do not focus on their suffering. They focus on their master or mistress. That is their whole focus. So they're not wandering around we don't realize how much is going on in their body unless we are acutely attuned to their welfare. Even then, they do not want us to focus on their suffering. They're there to serve us. That is their sole intention. Cats serve us in different ways. We will look at cats in another reading, and how cats move on and how they are with us and how they let us know when they're ready to go. So I told her, this dog, Grace, she's going to come back to you within 2 months, 2 to 3 months. After she hung up from the reading, the man who had the father of this Grace phoned and said, I'm so sorry about your loss of your darling Gracie. I have saved the frozen semen of her father, and I'm going to find a female and breed her with this, and you can have one of the puppies. And of course, that was what Gracie had told me, that she was coming back. So look how attuned that dog was to her mistress, and how joyfully wagging her tail and happy she was that I was giving this message so that her mistress would not be sad and mourning. And the mistress was in such joy after this reading. So our animals are with us right away, especially cats. There are some dogs that will kind of join other dogs from our family and race and cavort as a pack in the wilds, but this particular dog, he was her dog, and her focus was 100% on her mistress and to return to her mistress. So depending on the dog, what they'll do, but they all will greet us when we cross. So I'd like to end there with that about Gracie, and about animals, and about please leave their bowls out. Please don't put away their favorite toys. Please talk to them out loud and thank them. Put their picture out. They're not going anywhere. Thank you. God bless you. And I say thank you to my precious Bingo Pajamas, who was my heart dog. He is with me every minute. And I feel his presence right here beside me right now as I'm doing this. Thank you. Please write me questions you want for these videos, because I'm anxious to share with you all of my thousands of experiences of the afterlife, because you may have a specific question. I am also going to address the topic of suicide, so that will put a lot of people's minds at rest. Thank you, and God be with you. If you would like a personal reading, please write me at angelicmercy44@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe, leave comments, and like if you did like the video. Thank you.